green light in your outlet is a hidden camera, and they're using it to see everything you do. The technology that you have in your home could very well be used to keep tabs on you, to monitor you, to watch you. And I'm going to preface this video with this statement. I'm not making this video to put fear in anyone or to cause paranoia for anyone. It's just you can't help but notice certain things about the technology or the electrical equipment in your home. And as weird as it could seem for a piece of technology that you either purchased or that was installed could actually be used to watch you or to record you, it's pretty out there. It's pretty absurd. But once you tend to pay attention to it, and only because it causes you to pay attention to it, you could possibly notice certain patterns. You could possibly notice certain things that happen or that take place every time you either walk past it or look at it, or on when you move, they move kind of basis. And yes, I'm well aware there's some technology that is motion censored. You may have a motion sensor light. You may have a certain household appliance, or you might have some electrical equipment that is timed. You may just happen to line up with the time of that particular said equipment or that particular electrical device. But it becomes strange when you can't help but notice how your technology is interacting with you, because you're pretty much forced to recognize it. It's not like you're looking and waiting and just sitting there. Sometimes you may look to see if something is what you may think it is. And, nothing happens. It's just, okay, this is just what that is, or maybe that's what that does. There are some cases where your technology will just in sync, or just right on time, right on cue, oddly and strangely enough, interact with you. So it's like, how can you tell? How can you really know if you have a household appliance, or if the powers that be are using technology as a way to ruffle your feathers, as a way to live rent-free in your head, as a way to gaslight you and manipulate you into feeling like you're going crazy or you're losing your mind. So, which is another form of, you guessed it, gaslighting. Because just like in that movie, if you go to tell a landlord, if you go to tell a property manager, if you go to tell a hotel owner, if you go to tell the person in your apartment who is the maintenance manager, or anyone that is in control of the property. You'll have someone tell you that you're seeing things, or no, that's not what that is, or that's not what's happening. But the evidence that you may have collected could possibly be irrefutable. You could possibly have collected some irrefutable evidence. And when you notice something repeatedly over and over and over again, it becomes almost elementary. It's like, you know what this is doing. You know something isn't right. And you can tell that whatever this item, whatever this appliance is supposed to be used for, there's a little bit more to it than just what it represents. You may have a clock, or you may have some item or some device that you know to be more than what it is. It's like, that's not just what that is. That's not just some equipment. That's not just an item. That's not just an appliance. This is something that is being strategically used as a way to get into your mind and get into your head, and to make you question your reality. Because if you have things that are going on around you that you're not quite sure of why it's happening or what the purpose is, and you're not well advanced or well aware of these kinds of things, it could take time away from your life because of the stress it could cause, the anxiety it could bring, and the way that it wears down your mental faculties. These types of situations will cause you to develop a sense of paranoia, possibly, God forbid, but it could cause you to develop paranoia. It could cause you to develop a lack of trust for people around you, your safety. You could possibly think that you're not safe. You could possibly think that people are out to get you. You could possibly feel that there's no one you you could possibly feel that there's no one you can trust. You could possibly feel that there's nowhere you can go without these particular things taking place. And TIs don't like these kinds of things. No one should. It's just that people who are watched, people who are kept under surveillance, people who understand that these things can happen, they're more aware of them, and they could potentially having it like a real problem with it, a real issue with it, because they know that somebody is watching them, and they may be uncomfortable with it. It may cause this person to have some problems as far as the stress, their anxiety level, and it could cause them to become hypervigilant. When a lot of people get stalked or harassed, what they may not realize is happening to them is that they become hypervigilant. That means this person is looking over their shoulder for everything. This person suspects anything could be something. So this is another negative side effect of feeling unsafe, not trusting people. You think that everyone or anyone is out to get you or could be up to no good, could be a stalker, could be somebody coming to harass you or to spy on you. But back to the technology. It could even cause you to think that you're being monitored inside your home. But there are some cases where people are actually watched inside their home. They know that something is off with their appliances or their equipment because of what they recognize, what they see, what they've experienced when no one was there. And that's another thing too. If you are experiencing this and other people aren't around, it may not be too wise, unless you're sure, unless you have concrete, solid evidence, to try to bring this to the attention of others. You might want to contact someone who understands you or has a similar lifestyle or is going through what you're going through, someone just like yourself. Because if you try to explain this to the average person, they're going to think that there's a problem with you. But then again, when you really analyze the stench and you look at this thing, that's the whole point. That's the whole objective, is to make you appear like someone that you're not, like something that you're not, like you don't have it all together. Because who in their quote unquote right mind is going to believe some of the things that we actually do see and experience? Because these types of things don't happen to everyone, it's going to be really difficult for you to try to prove this to someone who's not open-minded or who isn't aware or hip to these types of things. Because you don't have to be targeted to know what a person who is targeted is going through, if that makes sense. There can be people who understand or who are aware or who are down for a certain cause, but they may not be a direct person experiencing what the cause that they're in support of. So there will be people who support your cause, or there will be good people with good hearts and a decent head on their shoulders who don't mind standing up for what's right or supporting the civil rights of others. But it may not be happening to them. They may not be directly experiencing it. So it becomes difficult to try to get other people on your side as far as your experience. Because when you have people who will say they don't believe it, when you have people who will discredit you, your story, or what you've gone through, that can frustrate a person deeply and severely. because it's like you're not going to tell someone that has been experiencing something and going through something who is sane. You're not going to be able to get that person to back down off of the truth that they've experienced. It's their truth, and this person is not going to back down off of that because it actually happened to them, and they have the mental record of it. Because number one, these types of things you can't make up. You can, but I mean, people could tell when you're making something up and when you're telling a story versus when you're actually communicating someone your experience, something that happened to you, something that you've witnessed, something that you've seen. You can pretty much tell the difference between a ghost story or any other kind of story between versus what actually happened. All right. So this technology, if you are still here in this video and you have experienced anything that I'm describing or about to describe, you know for certain that this stuff is real. But since it doesn't happen to everyone, not everyone's going to be able to give an account on it happening to them, especially if it's not. This is the type of stuff to where if it's not happening to you, you're going to find it hard to believe. It's like that movie where that guy was trying to save his kids and his friend betrayed him and faked his own death and tried to say that they tried to make it seem like he died because of him. They tried to make he tried to commit a staged suicide by having his car get stuck on the train tracks and making it look like his friend was the one who ordered the hit or who had killed him, when in all actuality this man was trying to save his family. He couldn't take his foot off of the gas. He couldn't stop driving the car for whatever reason because the car had a bomb in it and it might have blowed up real good. And the dude was just trying to save his kids, and they kept trying to say he robbed a bank, and they kept asking him where the money was and all this other stuff, and he didn't rob the bank. They were trying to say he cleaned out all these accounts and cleaned out everybody's account. He didn't do it, but no one believed him. His friend, who staged his own suicide, was the one that framed him and robbed all those euros. And they tried to make it seem like it was him. They tried to make it seem like he was crazy. They tried to make it seem like he was willing to take out his own family. They even tried to destroy his life. But it wasn't happening to anybody but him. So no one believed him until he took some drastic measures. But because this isn't a movie and this is real life, we have to actually go through a process to try to be heard, to try to get our situation taken care of, to try to get people who are, who belong to be caught for these kinds of things to get their just due. Because off the bat, when you try to explain these types of things to people, no one's going to either care because it's not happening to them, or they're not going to believe it because it hasn't happened to them. So with that being said, there have been many places to where I've either stayed in, lived in, moved into, to where you will experience some type of electronic harassment from the devices, either in the apartment, in the home, in the room. And it's undeniable, because it's like, how on, unless there's something that I don't know, right? Unless there's something that I don't know. Like I said in the beginning of the video, I prefaced the video by saying this: there could be some type of motion sensor, motion detecting device. But if it doesn't say that on the box, or if it doesn't say that in the instructions, that in itself is a little strange too, don't you think? But to keep it totally real and to not hold back any longer, I know I'm not the only one, all right, who has experienced the technology in your place, your apartment, your room, switching up on you, acting different on you. Doing things that it doesn't normally do, or it shouldn't do. And I mean, it's wild to have a conversation like this, because people will think you're crazy, and they'll think it's something wrong with you. You have to have a strong mind when these types of things are taking place in your life, and you have to be careful who you talk about it with. No one's going to believe you when you tell them, hey, I'm getting harassed. I'm getting electronically harassed. But I think that with the type of technology we have today, if someone chooses to access whatever, because I mean, we live in a digital age now, and they even had the power to do this before. There have been people who have talked of accounts where they've noticed someone went in their place when they weren't there, and they saw that their electronic device was moved a little too far to the right, or a little too far to the left, or stuck out a little bit, signifying that somebody was in your place, taking apart your stuff and putting it back together. There's people who have talked about screws being left out, everything not being put together right. They go to use their device, and don't even work right again afterwards. Things start smoking. Now the thing is not even working right. They put this, there have been people, and I'm not saying this to scare anybody, because I don't want to put fear in anyone, but there are people who talk about how they've had their homes broken into, and their device was replaced with another device, and they recognize that their monitoring or their stalking has increased ever since that has happened. Because, like, if somebody could do that and put a camera in one of your devices, that means that they can watch you come and go. They know what time you come and go. They know about your comings and your goings. They know about your whereabouts. They can hear where you say you're about to be, where you say you're about to go. And I'm not saying this happens to everybody or anybody, but there are different levels of the program versus versus the other ones. So some of the things that I've particularly noticed, and I'm interested to know if any of you all have noticed them either, is that staying in, because I know this doesn't happen to everybody, but staying in some of these places, you'll see a smoke detector. You'll see a light or an outlet or any type of electronical device with one of those green lights. And it's funny that I mention this, because right now, as I'm recording on this phone, there's a green light. on my phone. So if that means that while recording, there are electronic devices which have green lights on them, as a logical, sound-minded, healthy-minded, intelligent person, one could most definitely come to the conclusion that it's a possibility that that device has some type of recording instrument built into it. And the weird part is that if you watch TV long enough, you'll end up seeing an episode where the cartoon characters were created to show you, or the scene with the actors on the TV set were instructed or scripted or told to act out a scene where they'll show you you're being watched. There are episodes where they knock on the doom, doom, doom. They knock on the screen and they let you know you're being watched. There's episodes where the people will just walk up to the TV and just look at it, letting you know that you're watching us, but somebody's watching you. And again, this isn't meant to scare anyone. It's just meant to make it aware to everyone. This isn't meant to scare anyone. This is meant to make it aware to everyone. There's certain things you need to cover up when you go stay at certain hotels or certain rooms or in your apartment. Oh, we need to come in and build this new thing. Okay. Or do you have ask questions. See if you can see the instructions. See if you can see the manual. See if you can see their blueprint. See if you could watch them put it together. Excuse me. Whatever day they're coming to do something or to re-innovate something or to change something, see if you can get off. See if you could watch them. Because certain things just seem too good to be true. And I mean, you may want to get some electrical tape if you feel uncomfortable. All right. It's not meant to sound crazy or make you feel crazy or make you go crazy. But your spirit knows when something isn't right and something is off, because you have discernment, you have intuition. God will communicate these things to you. And you never know. It may just be that weird feeling that you get could possibly be your higher power trying to make you aware of something, trying to make you see something or look at something a little differently. So it's ironic that when you record on your phone, a green light will pop up. Even though when you stop recording, the phone is still recording. And that should even let you know right there. Your phone is always listening to you. These technology devices are always listening to you. Even when you turn it off, there's a red light. Sometimes when you record with something, a red light turns on. So Big Brother is always watching and always listening. So these types of conversations aren't too far out. It's just that most people are too asleep and most people are too whatever else. Their pineal gland is too closed. It's not open. It's not activated. To where they have a lack of imagination anything that's not physical, anything that's not 3D, anything that's not of the Matrix. They can't see it or believe it or understand it, or just don't have the brain capacity to care. They think that's not real, just like we know the Matrix isn't real. They think the Matrix is real, and anything that's not of the Matrix, they just automatically chalk it up to as being fake or not real. There's certain equipment that I've noticed, right? And it sounds crazy. Why would somebody want to use technology to try to mess with you? Yo, I'm still trying to figure out why too. But it's to break you down mentally. It's to make you question your reality. It's to make you hypervigilant. It's to make you feel that everyone and everything is possibly out to get you. But when you notice a certain level of activity from whether it be a person or whether it be an appliance or whether it be a thing, you can't help but say to yourself what you notice. You know what? This thing's been acting weird. Every time I go to do this, it does that. Like, come on, man. Every time you go to do something, a device. Now I can understand you walking past. Every day I walk past this parking lot, this car comes out. Yes, that's to mess with you. Yes, that's to make you crazy. But I could also understand that, okay, that's a person with an issue. But when you have a person who's a coward, because I mean, they're all cowards, but when you have a super coward hiding behind an electronical device, displaying hate, transferring hate through a device, that's when things get tricky. You think you're chilling, you think you're enjoying yourself. And like I said, there are things that have motion sensors. There's been times where, you might have turned something on. It's only on for a certain amount of time. As soon as you go to make a move, boom, it shuts off. And it was just the synchronicity behind it. The time it was about to go off was the time you just got up or whatever you did. That's understandable. That thing got a time on it. Okay? Don't really put too much thought into that yet, as far as I know. But when you have something move, when you have something turn on and off based off of how you're moving, or as soon as you go to do something, and you notice that on cue. I'm talking about on cue. Like you having a conversation with your best friend, and your best friend knows you, and you know your best friend, and you go to say something, and they finish your sentence before you can, because they just know you. I'm talking about on cue like that. Or it's like you're sitting in school and somebody says, Michael, and you're like, present. Right on cue like that. You shouldn't be having that type of experience with the technology wherever you stay. All right, things shouldn't be turning on and turning off based off of you doing something. And I mean, here we go. It sounds crazy, but here we go. There's been times where your main man, Druuill, yes, me in this video, has noticed it's like you go to do something, your electronic device turns on, it turns off. I've been in certain hotels and certain rooms and stayed at certain places where it felt like I was being watched. And that's why they do it. They do it to play with your mind. They do it to make you think somebody's screwing with you, because they are. And they do it to make you feel like you don't have any control over your life or your situation. They're going to do it to you out in the world, and they're going to do it to you in the confounds of your home, which is supposed to be a safe place. And it's like, why is this machine, why is this device acting like that? And it's because it's possible, it's a possibility that someone is behind it, someone is controlling it. Your room hits a little different. Like, you never know. All it takes is a second to take off something, unscrew the screws, take off the plastic part, put a few wires in, change this, alter that, and then boom, you got whatever type of device you want. It's all types of shorts on YouTube about people building little devices. Put this, all you need is some wires and some metal and a little soldering machine. They got small solderers, big ones. I'm pretty sure they got every different size, and if not, I'm pretty sure you could make a makeshift one or something. There's no ends to what you could do with technology today. And on top of it, the technology they have today was already out 50 years ago previously. All the technology released has already been out like 50 years prior. And I'm pretty sure that's a fact. So it's like there's times where I've gotten up, and as soon as I get up, the freaking air turn on. It's like, you're like, what in the world? Doesn't even make sense. As soon as you sit down, it turns off. As soon as you get under your covers, the heat turn off. Like, it was on the whole time. I'm sitting there, I cooked, I watched this, I did some other things. As soon as I get under the covers, you telling me it turn off and I gotta get up and turn it back on? As soon as I roll over, it turn off. As soon as I put my shoes on, it turn off. As soon as I go to do something, it turn off. As soon as you go to brush your teeth, it turn on. As soon as you get out the shower, and you don't even want no AC on right now, it turn on. Before you could even take your towel off and get dressed, it turn on. Just all types of stuff that no one would believe if you told them. And I think these stories are good because it lets people know that I didn't know what to think of that. I didn't know what was going on. You too? You too? Yeah, me too. So as far as these lights, I'm finna start covering them up. Because, hey, I'd rather be safe than sorry and to get played like an Atari. Because, I mean, nobody wants to have the sensation of another person's vibration. All right, you don't want the sensation of another vibration. Like, I don't like that vibe. I'm not interested in that vibe. You gotta keep your old funky, dirty vibe to yourself when it comes to trying to monitor and watch others. You old stank viber, you. And a lot of people are into what's called voyeurism. Only God knows, y'all. So pray. Ask God to make things clear to you. Ask God to strengthen your discernment and your intuition. Because you got people out here that are sick, and you have people out here that are selling videos of other people on the dark web. There are people who get off on watching people live their life that don't know they're being watched. Or even if you do know you're being watched, they probably get off on that more because you don't know who they are. You don't know where they're at. You don't know who's doing it. But the thing is, somebody's doing something because your device isn't acting the way a device is supposed to normally. And I'm no electrician. Who am I to say a device is not supposed to do what it's supposed to do? But I've been living around devices for a good chunk of life. Good chunk of it. And I am positive that machines ain't supposed to be acting like that. Machines aren't supposed to be acting like that. Your equipment turn on without your permission. Things happening with your electrical devices you didn't confirm or approve. It just happening. So if they're always listening, hearing, watching through phones, what do you think they've been doing previously through TVs? Smart TVs? All this, we live in a digital age now. All it takes is, I mean, it really doesn't take anything now to build something in a device that could see you without you knowing it. And this isn't to scare people. This is just to make people aware. And based off your own judgments and based off of, your own communication with God, he'll let you know, he'll show you and instruct you what you need to do. He'll put it on your spirit and allow you to feel what you need to do. All right, so there's somebody out there today that needed this message, because when I stayed at places, it was even to the point to when I left the room, before I could leave the room, the freaking the air conditioner heater thing, it turned off when I was leaving. Okay, whatever. It turned off. So like right on cue, I'm about to walk out, it turned off. And you want to know what happened shortly after that? I'm going to where I'm going. I'm headed where I'm headed. And the electrical box on one of the telephone poles, psst. And y'all know there's pistons, and y'all know there's air valves and stuff within this technology that that happens sometimes. It gotta release a little something. But it's like right on cue with all the things that could possibly happen to you as a person that could possibly be targeted. That's a hell of a coincidence. I mean, that's a hell of a coincidence. After you just got the electronic harassment in your room or in your house or in your apartment, and then you step outside, and then the electronic devices outside are doing the same thing. All right, that's neither here nor there. All right, this has just been another DruTube special. I'm putting my hands up and I'm giving this thing to God. All right, because this stuff is nuts. You think you may be nuts because it's happening to you. The people who come up with this stuff are more crazy than all of us. They're the ones with the real issue. They're the ones with the real problem. Because who in their right mind could find time to want to do this to another person? But the thing is, it's because you're too blessed. It's because you're too positive. It's because you're too happy. And you're too focused. And they know that you have a mission. They know that you were chosen. They know that you're here for a reason. And their aim and their game is to distract, is to make you lose focus, make you lose sleep, make you lose your support system, make you sound foolish, or make you sound irate, or like you got a few screws loose, or you're a few marbles short of a whole pack, a few cards short of a whole deck. You ain't playing with a whole deck of cards. That's what they want. But that's why God is good. All right, that's why God is the greatest, because of all the things that we go through and all the things that we were created to be able to endure in the first place. Just imagine that, even though we're created to overcome these things and endure these things and to realize our power and our strength because of these things, we still got a helping hand. We still have somebody that's willing to help us, watch over us, guide us, instruct us, and keep us safe throughout the whole ordeal. So it may be them versus us kind of thing. But God's got your back. He's right there with you. Y'all, and that's why that Footprint in the Sands poem is great. Because when you think you're by yourself, he's always there. God's always there. He sees what these people are up to. Keep praying that those who trouble you will be troubled double. All right? Keep praying that those who trouble you will be troubled. Their trouble will double. and continue to ask for focus, patience, and peace. And I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching this video. Smash that like button. Smash that share button. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. We out.